Today, I will summarize all the US presidents, and please note that all the information above is based on what I've read online. If there is anything incorrect, you can file a complaint with the International Court of Justice. First is George Washington, who rose to prominence during the 7 Years' War, also known as the French War, initially as a major in the army. His most notable achievement was successfully gaining independence for the enslaved people in the British colonies, thus giving birth to the United States. He wrote the Bill of Rights and signed the Treaty of Commerce and Friendship to normalize relations with Great Britain. Simply put, he led the fight against Britain to gain American independence, then made peace with Britain, allowing America to resume trade relations with Britain as an independent nation. On April 22, 1793, he issued a declaration of neutrality, stating that the United States would not take sides in the war between Britain and France. The second president, John Adams, began his term as vice president under Washington as a man who upheld the rule of law, as demonstrated by the Boston Massacre of 1770. At that time, Britain was increasingly enforcing the law in its North American colonies and sending more troops to maintain order, which greatly angered the local population. On the evening of March 5th, a group gathered and threw snow and other objects at British soldiers. The situation then became chaotic, and the British soldiers opened fire, killing 5 civilians, leading to widespread public outrage. The soldiers were subsequently arrested and tried. At the time, John Adams, a supporter of colonial rights and not particularly fond of Britain, still acted as a lawyer defending the soldiers and helped secure the acquittals of 6 of the 8 soldiers. During his presidency, he achieved success by negotiating and enacting the Montefontaine Treaty in 1800, which ended the conflict between the United States and France and allowed them to resume trade. However, he also faced controversy for signing this law, which was considered to violate constitutional freedoms. The third president, Thomas Jefferson, is known for the purchase of Louisiana from France, one of the largest land deals in the United States, doubling its territory. He also drafted the Declaration of Independence. Other achievements include passing the law prohibiting the importation of foreign slaves on March 12, 1807, marking the beginning of the end of slavery and abolishing several unnecessary taxes to reduce the burden on the people. However, he is also heavily criticized for the embargo law implemented on January 1, 1808, intended to pressure Britain and France and improve America's diplomatic standing, as these two countries were constantly seizing American ships. But that law failed to achieve its intended goal and only caused economic damage without accomplishing anything else. The fourth president, James Madison, is nicknamed the Father of the Constitution because he drafted the Bill of Rights and established the federal system. He helped America fight against Britain in 1812, one of his most notable successes being the victory at the Battle of New Orleans in January 1815. The fifth president, James Monroe, took office during what is known as the Era of Good Feelings. He helped expand the American territory through the Treaty of Annapolis with Spain, giving us the Florida region and resolving the border dispute with Spain. This period also witnessed the biggest civil war in American history, with the South supporting slavery and the North opposing it. Simultaneously, it was a time when the distribution of American settlements was a matter of luck. Those who were unlucky ended up in the South, while those who weren't were in the North. His administration was criticized for its handling of economic issues, as evidenced by the 1819 economic crisis, which led to the failure of many banks and a high unemployment rate. The sixth president, John Quincy Adams, developed much of the infrastructure, such as roads, canals, and bridges, connecting different regions of the country to promote trade. He also developed education and science by proposing the establishment of a national university, an astronomical observatory, and promoting the creation of scientific research institutes. When mentioning John Quincy Adams, people often remember the controversies surrounding the corrupt bargain in the 1824 election. Adams' victory was attributed to the support of Henry Clay, then Speaker of the House of Representatives, the body that determines the president, as no candidate had secured enough electoral votes to win. Even more suspicious was the fact that immediately after becoming president, Adams appointed Clay as Secretary of State, an event that led to opposition from Congress, especially from supporters of Andrew Jackson, Adams' opponent in the previous presidential election. Despite the controversy, after his term ended and he became a congressman, he was honored as one of the leading anti-slavery activists. In 7th place is Andrew Jackson. He was a strong man, demonstrated by the story of him hitting an assassin on the head with a stick. This likely inspired Fairfax to dodge bullets from a future president. Andrew Jackson is considered a president of the people because he wanted everyone to be able to vote and participate in politics. And by everyone, I mean a white American citizen. He was also responsible for the Native American Displacement Law of May 28, 1830, which led to massacres of Native American tribes, especially the Cherokee Trail of Tears, which resulted in the deaths of thousands. In general, he tended to abolish anything he disliked. The 8th president, Martin Van Buren, served during the 1837 economic crisis caused by the fiscal and banking policies of his predecessor, Andrew Jackson. Mainly because Andrew suddenly abandoned the National Bank by not renewing its operating license, then transferred all the money to local banks, thereby reducing the state's ability to regulate the currency, leading to uncontrolled growth of smaller banks. Then he mandated that all payments for public land be made in gold instead of paper money, with the aim of controlling land speculation. But this eroded public and monetary confidence, leading to inflation. Combat inflation, he decided to apply what he learned in school: tackle the easy problems first and ignore the difficult ones. Specifically, the government would not intervene in the economy, but let the market regulate itself. And that only made things worse. Martin thought, this situation can't go on like this. It seems like in the future, a brilliant leader said that saving is a national policy, so now we will save. He decided to cut federal government spending to reduce the budget deficit, but this reduced aggregate demand in the economy. However, he also had a reasonable proposal establishing an independent treasury system where the federal government would hold its own money, separate from private banks, and limit speculation, thus protecting government funds from bank failures. This system was criticized because it didn't directly solve the crisis, but it was quite effective until the early 20th century when it was replaced by the Federal Reserve. And that's all my compilation and research about the US presidents. If you think I just gathered information from the internet, I don't know how to do it myself. So if there's anything wrong or need correction, please feel free to comment below. It's a lot of fun. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any videos.